Well, let's see where we stand today.
Yeah, let's.
Bullwinkle inherited a mine from his Uncle Dewlap. A mysterious stranger high in a helicopter began to follow him and Rocky. He turned out to be Captain Peter Wrong-Way Peach Fuzz, the new head of American intelligence. But Captain Peach Fuzz is still up to his old wrong-way tricks, and he almost immediately wrecked the helicopter. Everybody got down to earth all right, but now they're all lost in the middle of the what desert is this?
I don't know. You got a map, Bullwinkle?
Nope. Maybe Captain Peach Fuzz knows where we are.
Of course I do, Bullwinkle. I have a map right oh, dear.
What is it?
My papers. They're all gone.
Then nobody knows where we are.
Not quite true, for at that moment, not too far away, that notorious reprobate, Boris Badenov, was picking up all of Peach Fuzz's papers.
There's driver's license, expired 1926, and here is map of desert, and right next to this little... Who boy?
What kind little who boy is that, darling?
Natasha Honeybun, we hit jackpot.
Is Dean Two Moose's mine?
Better yet, is Peach Fuzz's identity card.
You collecting autographs?
You don't understand. Peach Fuzz is head of G2.
So?
So, I merely change picture like this, and behold, the new head of G2. Oh, I can see it now, Natasha. Secret agents bring me reports. I sell them direct to consumers, no middlemen. I retail books full of secret information, $100 each. Pocket editions, 25 cents. Eventually, I set up discount houses for spies all over the world. Money will roll in, millions. Then I'll have to do bookkeeping, add up thousands of figures, work late at night, figure payroll deductions, pay income tax, profits, tax. Phew, it isn't worth it.
Okay, but how do we get Dean Two Moose's mine?
You forget, Natasha. They are lost. We have map. We trade.
But won't they be suspicious of you?
Ha ha, silly girl.
And so, just a little while later...
Gee, if we could only find somebody who knows this area, somebody who lives here.
Allow me to introduce myself.
Who in the wide, warm world are you?
Abu Ben Boris, wealthy desert chief at your service.
Abu Ben Boris?
You've heard of me.
Yeah. Didn't your name lead all the rest one time?
That's me. And this is Fatima, queen of the harem.
But you're Arabs.
What did you expect to find in Arabia, darling?
Arabia? Then this desert must be...
Yes, the Sahara.
Now, wait a minute. You said this is Arabia. The Sahara's in Africa.
I bought it last week. They just delivered it.
Boy, he must be rich.
Come this way.
And the wily Boris led them to a strange-looking tent in the middle of the burning sand.
Keep your eyes open, Bullwinkle. This may be a trap.
I'll be careful, Rock.
But just then, Bullwinkle's sharp eyes spotted somebody in the distance.
Hey, what's he doing here?
What's who doing here?
Him. He looks to me like a strictly American-type prospector.
He's just mirage.
Mirage?
Of course, optical illusion. For instance, it's broad daylight, no?
Of course it is.
And yet, don't you think you see stars?
Yeah, how about that? And what's more, I'm sleepy.
And Bullwinkle slumped to the sands as Boris drew an evil-looking scimitar from his belt and stalked into the tent after Rocky. Oh, whatever you do, don't miss our next episode, Boris and the Blade, or Chic, Rattle, and Roll.
And now...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
But that trick never works.
This time for sure. Presto! Well, I'm getting close.
And now it's time for another special feature.
Once upon a time, in a little pond in the Middle West, lived an ugly duckling who wanted to be a movie star.
I ought to be in pictures. Da 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 da.
He was the star of his local dramatic club, and he was written up in his hometown newspaper for his acting in Cyrano de Ducarac Hamlet, the melancholy duck, and Duck of a salesman, but this kind of fame meant nothing to him. He wanted to be a movie star.
I'm just ripe for some lucky scout to discover.
So the ugly duckling left his little pond and journeyed far away to a place where all the big talent scouts came to scout talent, a place called Schwab's Swamp. All around him were pictures of the ducks who had been discovered there.
Duck Benny, Duck Jones, Duck Rogers. Gee, even Duck Tracy.
And sure enough, talent scouts were discovering ducks all around him.
Hey, you.
Me?
No, him. Sign here.
Hey, handsome.
Yes?
Not you, ugly, him. Will 1,000 a week be enough?
But alas, nobody wanted to discover the ugly duckling.
Ugly? Gosh, looks like I'm a has-been before I was even a was.
My, for a duck you are certainly a silly goose.
What do you mean?
You can't just sit there and wait for them. Make them discover you.
By golly, I'd do it.
Soon, the ugly duckling was standing before one of the biggest producers in town, J.B. Hogfat himself.
Now get this, J.B. Don't you see, Captain? There's no time now. We are thinking of women and children. You're the only one who can get through safely. Go, take the last boat. I will stay and keep the ship off the rocks. Don't think of me. I've lived my life. Think of the children.
Magnificent. Oh, you're a great actor, Duck.
Then I get a contract?
Of course not. You're ugly as a mud fence, but you were superb.
Yeah, that figures.
The ugly duckling tried and tried.
Ah, my little pigeon, come with me to the swamp. In its dark, mysterious byways, you will come to know the ways of love, l'amour.
Duck, you are greatest lover in world.
But,
You ugly.
no soap.
No soap.
Still, the duckling didn't give up.
Such grace, such rhythm. Another Astaire, a new Gene Kelly.
But I'm too ugly for a contract, eh?
Oh, much too.
Thought so.
And it was the same story with everyone he saw.
Gracious, you are an ugly one.
Cab, please.
Yes, Ugg. Yes,
Hey, mister,
Yes?
how come you're so ugly?
All right, I get the idea.
Broken-hearted, the duck returned to Schwab's Swamp.
It's no use. I got a face that would stop a clock, even an electric clock.
Oh, you silly goose. You give up so easily. Haven't you ever heard of facelifting?
I don't want it higher. I want it prettier.
Then go to a plastic surgeon. Get your beak bobbed, your feathers lifted. Get handsome.
Yes, I'll do it.
So, several weeks later, at the hospital,
I have good news for you, my boy. Today the bandages come off.
Hurry, Doc. I got to know.
See, you're lovely.
It's true. You are good looking.
it was true. The doctor had done the trick. Without wasting a minute, the handsome duckling dashed back to the producer's office.
Well, here I am, J.B. Just slip the contract under here. I'll just sign it. I won't even read it.
What do you talk? I won't give you a contract.
Why?
You're too blamed good looking.
Too?
Well, it seemed as if the trend in movie making had switched to horror pictures. The Thing in the Duck Pond. It ducked from outer space. Ugly Duck meets Wolfman.
Sorry, Bud, I can't use any good lookers. Excuse me. Hello, Myron. Yeah, me too. But there was a duck here last week who'd be perfect for the part.
Me? It was me.
Face like 3 days of bad weather.
My face?
I told you once, no more pretty boys. Now, Myron, if he shows up again, I'll make a star out of him.
And so the little duckling realized that he had left his real happiness back in that little pond in the middle. Hey, now wait a minute. You're not going back.
Of course not. I'm just starting my new job. Okay, you guys, let her go.
But why are you...
I figure in a week I'll be ugly enough to scare anybody. But meanwhile, I'm still in show business.
Look, Bullwinkle, a message in a bottle.
Fan mail from some flounder?
No, no. This is what I really call a message.
Hello there. Today's poem is the beloved old nursery rhyme, Rocky My Baby. Rocky my baby on the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks...
Hold it! Hold it! You out of your mind, Moose?
No more than usual, GJ.
All right, get that cradle down here.
But, GJ...
Look, this is a family show. No babies stuck in trees.
No.
We'd have the Baby Protection League on our necks in a minute.
Well, it's just a doll, really.
Who writes this stuff anyway?
Mother Goose.
Hello? Give me continuity. CP? We got a woman named Goose on the payroll. Uh-huh. Get rid of her. Yeah, the gander's gotta go too.
But the poem...
Sorry, too much violence.
But I like violence.
You like violence? You mean you like explosions? Trees falling? People being hit in the head?
No, I like violence 'cause they smell so nice.
And now it's time...
Time for that jolly juggler, Bullwinkle.
Oh, dear.
3 at once. 1, 2...
And now here's a feature you're sure to like.
3...
Hello out there. Peabody and Sherman here. The Wayback Machine, my incomparable invention for traveling through time, has been set for the year 1513.
Which direction are we heading, Mr. Peabody?
South, Sherman, specifically Florida, and our host will be the illustrious Spanish explorer Ponce de Leon, the man who sought the fabled Fountain of Youth. The Wayback took us way back instantly to a small clearing in the heart of the Florida Everglades. We saw no sign of Ponce de Leon or his men, merely a large tent with a white object flying above it.
Ponce de Leon's flag, Mr. Peabody.
That's no flag, Sherman. That is a baby's bib. What's more, as we rounded the tent, the clearing abounded in diapers, and there, slaving over a washtub, was the distinguished explorer.
Oh, Mondays. How I detest Mondays.
Buenos dias, Ponce de Leon.
Buenos dias. Ah, tourists. You are on your way to Palm Beach, no doubt.
No, Mr. de Leon. We came to see if we couldn't help you find the Fountain of Youth.
Oh, that's very noble of you, but it has already been discovered.
You found it?
Oh, not me, my men. That is them over there playing with blocks. They were grown men when they reached the fountain, and they were very thirsty.
Drank too much?
See, now instead of blowing taps each night, I play Brahms' lullaby. Oh, it's very degrading.
We accepted Ponce's invitation to stay for lunch and sat down to a large bowl of mush. The luncheon progressed nicely, although I was forced into burping Lieutenant Rodriguez, 3 months of age. We were about to embark on a custard pudding when Ponce noticed that one of his men was missing.
Corporal Gonzalez. He's not in his high chair.
A quick search of the grounds turned up nothing, not even a clue.
Oh, that's not like Gonzalez to go AWOL. He was always a most conscientious soldier. He would not crawl away.
Gee, Mr. Peabody, a little baby like that lost in the Everglades.
Perhaps he was thirsty, and if he was thirsty, he may be heading for the fountain. Quick, Ponce, lead us to the fountain. Gonzalez couldn't stand growing any younger. Ponce de Leon issued orders for his command to remain in their barracks, which is to say he unceremoniously dumped them into a playpen. 5 minutes later, we arrived at the Fountain of Youth.
Look, it's the baby, and he's going to drink.
Attention! Stand at attention!
But the glass never wavered. Glancing about, I noticed a rattlesnake slumbering blissfully on the limb of a nearby tree. With deft hand, I shook his rattles, taking care not to rouse him. Naturally, the sound of the rattle arrested the attention of Corporal Gonzalez.
Corporal Gonzalez, you are under arrest and hereby confined to your bassinet.
We returned to the clearing and prepared to give Ponce de Leon's soldier a change of uniform. That's when the attack started.
Indians! The Seminole Indians!
Herding the soldiers together, we retreated inside Ponce de Leon's tent.
I knew that sooner or later they would find us. Quick, issue each man a musket.
Musket? They can't even hold a bottle.
What'll we do, Mr. Peabody? We're outnumbered.
Only one thing to do, Sherman. Fight fire with fire. I waited until darkness, then crept slowly out of camp. Then suddenly, I was in the midst of the Seminoles.
Why we not attack 'em in darkness? Why must Indian always wait till dawn?
We take pictures of battle. No got flashbulb for night fighting.
Assured the Seminoles wouldn't attack till daylight, I continued on. Then early the following morning, I rejoined Sherman and Ponce.
Senor Peabody, quick! I think the Indians are about to attack.
But instead of attacking, the Seminole chief came into the clearing all alone.
A white flag! They've surrendered!
Again, you're wrong, Sherman. That white flag is a diaper. You see, last night I went to the Fountain of Youth, took a generous supply of the water, and crept into the Seminole camp. While the Indians were sleeping, I spiked their water supply.
But if that is true, then the Indians are...
Babies? Yes. And at that very moment, 4 of the most ferocious braves crawled out of the brush.
White man, I come in peace. I have come to trade for diapers.
And so the battle never came off. In fact, Ponce and the Seminole chief became such good friends, they erected the Fountain of Youth Nursery School.
Well, all's well that ends well, Mr. Peabody.
Precisely, Sherman. By the way, what is that you have in your hand?
This? Oh, just an old rusty key I found in the dirt.
Well, congratulations, my boy. You are now a landowner.
Landowner, Mr. Peabody?
Of course, Sherman. You now own one of the Florida Keys.
Well, it looks as if our friends will never get to Mount Flatten and Bullwinkle's mine, for they have just met up with their old nemesis, Boris Badenov, disguised as a wealthy desert chieftain.
Abu Ben Boris at your service.
What's more, on the pretext of showing him a mirage, Boris has sent Bullwinkle to Dreamland, drawn a wicked-looking sword, and followed Rocky and Captain Peach Fuzz into his tent.
Can you lead us out of this desert, Mr. Abu Ben Boris?
Call me Benny.
Well, can you?
You said it, Effendi.
Well, let's get started then.
There's only one little hitch.
What's that?
You ready to pay?
Pay? Where's all that desert hospitality I've heard so much about?
Oh, I'm hospitable. You can stay as long as you like, free from charge.
But what if we want to leave?
And we do.
Then you pay.
Very well. Here's all the money I have.
Money? Who needs money?
We do, darling.
Shut up your veil, Fatime.
Well, what do you want?
You got any other valuables? Jewels, deed to mines?
Deeds to mines?
I'm just spitballing, you understand?
Yeah, we got one of those.
Well, then we're in business.
But it belongs to Bullwinkle.
No, so quick we're out of business.
Say, where is Bullwinkle?
Oh, he's right out there.
Sure enough, Bullwinkle was right out there, out like a light.
Bullwinkle, old pal, speak to me.
Howdy, stranger.
Stranger? Bullwinkle, it's me, Rocky.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Rocky.
He doesn't know me. Bullwinkle, don't you remember? We're on the way to your Uncle Dewlap's mine.
Mine?
Sure. Don't you have the deed?
You know, you're pretty nosy for somebody I just met.
Rocky, I do believe he has amnesia.
Yeah.
Never mind that. Does he have deed to mine?
Looks like we'll never know, Boris. He's lost his memory.
If they don't have deed to mine, who needs them? Well, we must be off.
But you can't leave us to perish in the middle of the Sahara Desert.
Watch carefully.
And with one mighty swipe of his scimitar, Boris cut the guy ropes of the tent. Instantly, it collapsed on Rocky and Captain Peach Fuzz.
Well, now they can't follow us. Let's go, Natasha. I'm the sneak of Araby.
And the two villains hurried off across the desert, leaving our heroes floundering under the folds of canvas. But at that moment, one of the tent poles toppled over and struck Bullwinkle on the head.
Goodness, I must have overslept. Hey, who's in there?
It's us, Bullwinkle. Get us out.
With a surge of mighty moose muscle, Bullwinkle lifted the whole tent up, and Rocky and Captain Peach Fuzz emerged, none the worse for wear.
Hiya, Rock.
Bullwinkle, you recognize me.
You got your memory back.
Your mind isn't a blank anymore.
Well, let's not go overboard, Rocky.
I knew we shouldn't have trusted those two.
You know, I bet they weren't Arabs at all.
They were just after the deed to your uncle's up-to-daisium mine.
Yeah. Where is the deed, Bullwinkle?
Where I always put things for safekeeping.
Where's that?
Behind my left antler.
Hooray! You got the deed that they were after. Now let's follow follow their footsteps out of this desert.
And a hardy little band began to follow Boris and Natasha's footprints in the sands of crime. Unfortunately, as they marched across the shifting dunes, the wind began to blow harder.
Bullwinkle, the wind is erasing their footprints.
Yes, in just a gusty minute, there wasn't a trace of a footprint to follow, and our friends were once more completely lost in the desert. Will they survive the rigors of the desert night? Well, last time our heroes were one up on the mysterious metal-munching mechanical mice. For Rocky fed them some chewy caramel, and they couldn't open their mouths to bite anything.
Always somebody's got to gum up the works.
But Boris Badenov, alias the Big Cheese, wasn't too worried.
There's always more where they come from.
And where did they come from? Apparently from the strange-looking craft which was slowly settling to the ground next to the mansion.
Bullwinkle, that looks like a spaceship.
Yeah, probably 'cause it is.
And as our heroes watched in amazement, the spaceship began to unload a cargo of monstrous mechanical mice.
You know what this means, Bullwinkle?
It means we're gonna run out of cheese in a hurry.
No, it means the fiendish plot against the country may succeed after all.
What plot is that?
Bullwinkle, haven't you been following the story?
Well, it's tough to follow it and be in it at the same time, Rock.
Okay, fill 'em in, will ya?
Well, the fiendish plot is this. Boris Badenov, alias the Big Cheese, is importing mechanical metal-munching mice from some mysterious place or other and sending them out at night to destroy television antennas all over the country.
Oh, boy, I could see it now. TV sets all go dark. People got nothing to do, get bored. Everybody goes to some other country to watch Late Late Show.
Then we take over a whole deserted US of A.
Just imagine, Natasha, being only people in town like New York City, parking backwards in middle of one-way street.
Shooting slingshot at pigeons in park.
Drawing mustaches on pictures of pretty girls.
Throwing custard pies at statues in park.
Betting baseballs through windows of UN building.
We could even sell Brooklyn Bridge.
Again, you mean? It will be just, you'll pardon the expression, heavenly.
Da is first-class fiendish plot, darling.
Should be. Is disapproved by Bad Housekeeping magazine.
And the two villains set to work to wind up the fearsome creatures for the terrible task ahead. Meanwhile, our heroes were watching the mechanical mice disembark from the strange craft.
If we could just find out where they come from.
From that spaceship.
Yeah, but where does it come from?
That's your question.
Well, let's sneak up on it and see.
And our friends drew nearer and nearer the spaceship. Unaware that eyes were watching them, they approached alone and unprotected.
Yeah, how come we never got a gang on our side, Rock?
Well, you can't be a hero if you got a gang with you.
It might be nice just once to be a safe coward.
Back in Bleakley Manor, Boris and Natasha had wound up their wind-up job.
Darling, spaceship is ready to go.
And Boris quickly slipped on his disguise as the Big Cheese, leader of the mechanical mice.
Do I look like rat, Natasha?
Of course, darling. To me, you always look like rat.
Flatterer.
And the disguised Boris made his way to the ship. Unfortunately for our heroes, he and they arrived at the same time.
Bullwinkle, it's the Big Cheese. Let's go.
Right.
Not that way, this way.
You mean towards him?
But he's all alone.
Couldn't we leave it like that?
But Bullwinkle conquered his urge to flee and dashed toward the Big Cheese. Of course, being a coward as well as a sneak, Boris turned tail and ran for his life.
Hey, you in the ship, save me, save me!
And as if in answer to Boris's frantic cry, a strange weapon emerged from the odd-looking craft, leveled at our friends, and fired. Don't miss our next episode, The Shot Heard Round the World, or The First National Bang.
Happiness, my boy, is not to be found in borrowed finery.
Is that why you dress up in that old sheet?
This isn't an old sheet, Junior. It's an old toga. And an old well, as usual, you've missed the whole point of what I'm trying to teach you.
Maybe if you spelled it out for me, Pop?
All right, Junior. Now, hand me that scroll over there. Yeah, that's it. There now. Now, let me see. When we left little Orphan Annie, she and Daddy Warbuck were... Junior, you haven't handed me the scroll. You've handed me your comic book. Now, let's get with it, lad, huh? Now then, once upon a time...
Pop.
Yes, son?
Do you think fables will ever replace TV?
Now, let me continue with the story. Once upon a time, there was this crow.
Tell me, man, are you going to be a crow all your life?
Well, I have not given it much thought.
You know, like, I'm sick of being a crow. I'm sick of going around in the same old tired black suit. Sick, sick, sick. You know what I'm going to be?
Well, I have not given it much thought.
I'm going to be a peacock. Man, those crazy colors. You know why the peacock has such a gorgeous tail?
Well, I have not given it much thought.
It's the chicks, man, the chicks. He just flashes that old tail and all those crazy cuckoo colors show up. And those chicks, they really flip. Yes, sir, that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a peacock.
Of course.
You
I
haven't given it
much
a thought. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But tell me, how can a crow become a peacock? I mean, don't you have to be born that way, peacock-wise, fat ears?
Like I've been telling you, it's the tail, man. It's the tail. All you got to do is get some of them wild multicolored feathers and look out, chicks, because your big daddy is in town. Ooh, badoo, skaw, bidaw, you turn out the lights and you call the law. Hey, man, like, where can I pick up on some of them crazy feathers you cats carry around to impress the chicks?
Oh, I've really got a live one this time. Let me see. You'd like to purchase a colorful tail, is that it?
Oh, Daddy, you are reading me loud and clear. What I mean, I want a tail that is the living end.
Well, I think we can fix you up. Let me see. You seem to be a size 34 to me. Listen, you know that old feather duster we have around here?
Yeah, boss.
Well, stick it in some paint. This crow will buy anything.
Is this it? I mean, this is the real thing, a real peacock tail?
The real thing.
Well, you just watch my dust.
Just watch your duster.
Oh, now that I've got a peacock's tail, why should I fool around with crows, just black crows? From now on, it is bigger game. Why not the real thing, like peacocks? Pardon me, ma'am, but are there any more at home like you?
Well, yes. But I doubt if there are any more at home like you. And if there are, I certainly hope they stay there.
Man, I was doing all right until that sudden snowstorm. Strange, you know, a snowstorm in July. Gad, free moke, what weather. I had better go home and put on a muffler. Oh, George, I believe I'm catching a cold. This unseasonable weather. Like, wow.
Not a bad-looking crow. But what's he doing bundled up like that in July? He must be some kind of a kook.
Like, good afternoon, dearie. Better stand back. I've got me a very nasty cold.
Listen, I just thought you were a harmless nut. But if you're going to accost young ladies with your stupid practical jokes, I'm afraid...
Practical jokes? Please, lady, I'm not a joker. I'm a peacock.
Police!
Yes, lady. Hey, is this nut bothering you?
Well, I was just walking down the street, minding my own business, when this creep comes up.
All right, Buster. Move along.
But, Mr. Brass, sir, it's you two are the nuts, dressed like you are in weather like this. Like you're going to catch your death of cold.
Now, wait a minute, buddy. At the present time, it's 94 degrees in the shade. Now move along.
But you don't understand. I'm a peacock.
That did it. It's the coop for you.
So, poor Crow languished in the clink for impersonating a peacock for a long, long time. So long, in fact, that all of the feathers fell out of his tail, or his feather duster. But he was released on good behavior.
Man, you know what I'm going to be?
Well, I have not given it much thought.
A stork. Man, I'm going to get me a pair of stilts. I'm going to be 9 feet tall. You know, the chicks really dig them tall birds. Man, I'm going to get those old sticks, and I'm going to walk me up a storm.
And so you see, son, old Crow never did learn his lesson, which just goes to show...
that the moral of this fable is very feeble.
Huh?
You know, Pop...
How's that, son?
I don't think fables will ever replace TV.
Ready, Rock?
Sure you know how to work that thing?
No. Anyways, here's what it was supposed to look like.
And here he is, your favorite scrambled egghead, Mr.
Today's lecture is entitled How to Be a Hobo, or 10 Easy Steps to a Bum Career. The hobo, sometimes known as the boxcar beatnik, carries all his worldly possessions in a big red bandana tied to a stick. Of course, nowadays, some of the more well-to-do bums use suitcases. The hobo travels mainly by rail, like so. This is called riding the rods. How I love to hear that lonely locomotive whistle. Sometimes we've got to hustle a little to make our connections. Made it! Looks like I caught the super beef, doesn't it? Between trains, we join our fellow vagabonds in the hobo jungle, which is sort of the hobo Hilton. Here we see some of the clever tricks of the trade. For instance, building a fire without matches. Waiting for dinner is often full of suspense, because the cans usually don't have labels. Now, let's see what we've got. Boy! Boiled tennis balls! After a hearty meal, it's time for Betty Bye. We use newspapers for our blanket. It's nice to have those warm Sunday papers handy. Hey! Knock it off! And now we bid a fond farewell to Hobo Jungle and hop a slow freight to who knows where.
Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All.
Peabody here. Contrary to public belief, a corsair is not hard oxygen, but a pirate. And on today's excursion into the past, Sherman and I encounter a host of corsairs. Set the Wayback Machine for the harbor of Tripoli, Sherman.
Where's that, Mr. Peabody?
In the Mediterranean. Today we visit one of America's great sea fighters, Stephen Decatur. The Wayback wasted no time in spanning the years and depositing us aboard the good ship Enterprise. There was Lieutenant Decatur with an eye trained on the enemy's harbor.
What's she doing now, sir?
Nothing. She's just sitting there.
We couldn't help but overhear your conversation, Lieutenant. Is there a lady in distress?
Oh, not a lady, sir. A ship, the Philadelphia. The Corsairs captured her, and I'm afraid they intend to turn her against us.
Why don't you destroy the Philadelphia, Mr. Decatur?
We thought of that. It was our intention to set her on fire.
What stopped you?
We ran out of matches.
I suggested that an undercover party make its way into the city to pick up some matches. Unfortunately, the only volunteers were Decatur, Sherman, and myself. We searched for a match store in vain, and then Decatur had a brainstorm. He hid in an alley, waiting for an innocent-looking passerby. When one finally approached, he dashed out and, in a cautious voice, asked,
"Got a match?"
As luck would have it, that innocent passerby was the chief of police.
"You are spies. Shoot them."
We were escorted to a courtyard wall where 20 rifles were leveled at us.
Ready. Aim.
Just one moment, if you please.
What is it you like? A cigarette, a blindfold?
No. But I believe international law clearly states that condemned men are to be granted one last wish.
Oh, forgive me, I make a boo-boo. What is it you wish?
We wish not to be shot.
Huh?
You heard me. I said we wish not to be shot.
Corporal!
Yes, Sergeant.
You hear what he wants for his last wish?
I hear it.
Does that make sense to you?
Well, sure, Sarge. We always give everybody a last wish.
Hey, you're right. Okay, we don't shoot them.
And so the firing squad returned to their quarters, and as for Decatur, Sherman, and myself, we lost ourselves in the dark streets of the city.
Time is running out, but I have another plan.
Decatur's plan was pretty much the same as his last one. He hid in an alley, waited for an innocent-looking passerby, dashed out as the passerby approached, but instead of asking, "Got a match?" he said,
"Got a candle?"
In this case, lightning struck twice. It was the same chief of police. We faced the same lineup of spy suspects, and what was worse, we faced the same firing squad.
Ready? Aim!
I hate to interrupt you again, sir, but...
It'll do you no good this time. We are forbidden to grant the last wishes.
I wasn't going to ask for one. We merely wondered about our last meal.
Last meal? Corporal, do they get a last meal?
Don't ask me. I never been executed.
Okay, we give you a last meal. What do you want?
Seafood. Some nice, fresh seafood. The only seafood restaurant in the vicinity was just off the wharf. It was there that we dined. I insisted the sergeant and his men join us, and it was my pleasure to do the ordering.
Oh, boy, that was delicious.
Yes, oysters are delectable, aren't they?
You bet. Only how come you and your spy friends didn't eat no oysters?
Because oysters aren't in season this month. That's why.
Oh, well, that explains it. Anyone who would eat oysters out of season is dead.
Now's our chance. We'll board the Philadelphia and burn her.
But how without a match?
It did seem an impossible task, but one I overcame easily. Merry Christmas, everyone! Merry Christmas!
What is this? What are you doing aboard this boat?
I am Santa Claus, and these are my helpers. Ho, ho, ho! We have stockings just crammed with goodies for you and your men.
Hey, that's wonderful. Give them to us.
Oh, no, Captain. Stockings must be hung over a fireplace.
No, we don't got no fireplaces.
Well, an ordinary fire will do. Just build a fire, and we'll hang the stockings over it. The Corsairs built a fire, all right, a fire that eventually consumed the Philadelphia. Our task successfully completed, we returned to the Enterprise and had dinner with Stephen Decatur.
That was some experience, Mr. Peabody.
It certainly was, Sherman. We not only helped the American cause, but we are in on the birth of a new profession.
New profession?
Yes, these men who are serving food to Decatur. I'd call them Decaturers, wouldn't you?
Last time, you remember, our heroes were creeping up on a strange-looking spaceship when they came upon the leader of those monstrous mechanical mice.
Bullwinkle, a big cheese!
I wish you wouldn't say those things so close together.
Coward that he was, the big cheese turned and ran with our heroes right after him. It was then that a strange-looking weapon emerged from the spaceship, aimed and fired.
They got me, Rock!
No, Bullwinkle.
They got you?
No.
Him?
Him.
Sure enough, it appeared that the big cheese had been stopped cold by the mysterious ray.
He makes a nice-looking statue, don't he?
Yeah, sort of a V-Mouse to Milo.
Hey, Bullwinkle, he's been scrooched.
Been what?
Scrooched.
Oh, fiddle faddle, Rock. Only moon men can scrooge people.
Sure, and just where do we find moon men?
On the moon.
Or
in spaceships, or... Yeah, funny how that works out.
Hey, moon man, come on out.
We friend of moon man. We dig 'em moon cats. We talk straight, you bet 'em.
Why the Indian chatter, Bullwinkle?
Bullwinkle, I think that voice belongs to our old buddy Cloyd, the moon man.
And don't forget me.
And that's his pal, Gidney.
Well, I'll be jiggered. Come on out, you fellas.
We are out, Bullwinkle, see?
Which one are you?
I'm Cloyd, see?
Of course. I remember you by the mustache.
But I don't have a mustache.
That's what I remember.
And this is Gidney.
Sure, I'd know those eyeballs anywhere.
But what are you doing down here?
We just brought another shipment of moon mice, Rocky.
Gee, Bullwinkle, they're the ones behind this whole sinister plot.
So Rocky told the two moon men of the terrible damage being done by the monstrous mechanical moon mice as they chewed up acres of TV antennas.
Oh, dear, that's dreadful, Rocky. We had no idea they were going to be used this way. Well, let's go talk to the big cheese, Gidney. Don't you remember, Cloyd? You scrooched him.
Yeah, he's stiffer than a boiled shirt.
Still? No, you're so quick on the trigger, Cloyd. Yeah.
Well, we'll just have to wait for him to get unscrewed.
And our friends began their vigil, little realizing that they were waiting in front of a cardboard cutout, and the big cheese,
or as we know him, Boris Bedinov,
was even now readying his mechanical monsters for another attack.
They're still waiting, Natasha?
Yes, Boris. Darling, do you always carry cardboard cutouts with you?
Doesn't everybody?
What city do we black out tonight, darling?
Let's pick one scientifically.
And Boris seized a dart, closed his eyes, and tossed it at the wall map.
And what is the name of our honor city?
Podunk Junction, darling.
Okay, I'll tell the troops. Now hear this, you rats. This is Big Cheese squeaking. Target for tonight is Podunk Junction. Got it? Get it!
And in a moment, before the startled eyes of our friends, flowed a veritable stream of monstrous mechanical metal-munching moon mice.
They're on the loose again, Bullwinkle.
And so's the big cheese, Rocky. Look at this.
We've been tricked.
Well, now what?
We gotta stop those metal-munching mice is what?
But how?
Come on, we'll take the shortcut and head them off.
Where do we head 'em off?
Oh, Gidney, where does anybody head anybody off?
At the pass!
Sure enough, a few moments later, our friends were bracing themselves in the middle of the pass, waiting for the onrushing horde of 6-foot moon mice.
We gotta fight them to the end, Bullwinkle.
Yeah, and I got news for you, Rocky.
What's that?
This is the end.
True.
It looks like journey's end at last for our heroes. Seeking the magic mooseberry bush, a plant that produces a secret rocket fuel ingredient, our heroes have traveled to Pottsylvania, the only place in the world where mooseberries still grow. However, as they approached the dock, they saw a rather unusual reception committee.
Look, Rock, they're greeting us with open arms.
Yeah, but look what's in their hands. I don't like this, Bullwinkle.
Our friends didn't know that the reception committee was really waiting for Boris Badenov, their archenemy. But then neither did Boris.
Ah, it's good to be back among old friends, Natasha.
If those are friends, I'd hate to meet your enemies.
There must be some mistake. Hello, it is I, Boris Badenov, your #1 pin-up spy.
I think your rating has dropped, darling.
They couldn't do this to me. Get me central control. Hello, fearless leader is Boris.
Boris who?
Boris Badenov.
Must be some mistake. We got no spy named Badenov.
You do too, it's me.
We used to have Nebish named Badenov, but he was executed yesterday.
What?
It says so in paper.
But I'm Badenov.
Oh, my mistake. I pick up tomorrow's paper. Oh, well, what's one day?
Hello? Hello? I've been cut off.
You're not kidding, darling.
How could they do this to me? After 20 years of lying, cheating, double-crossing, and backbiting, they don't like me anymore.
Come on, you! We know you're in there! Gee, Rocky, I suppose they mean us?
I don't know who else they mean.
See, why don't we check with our next-door neighbor, Sir Thomas Lippenboris, millionaire yachtsman?
He's swell.
And our two friends headed right for the spy's cabin.
If I could just get to central control, I could explain everything.
But how you going to get past the mob on the dock?
Oh, yeah. Who's afraid of a little mob? I am. They come for me.
Who's there?
Oh, it's just us, Lady Alice. Oh, we were just wondering if you could give us some tips on how to get along with the natives.
Yeah, they seem pretty restless.
But of course, old bean.
There's a mob of people out there, Sir Thomas.
Yeah, and they're after us.
They after you? Oh, yes, of course, old chap. They jolly well don't like foreigners, you know. Yankee go home, all that sort of thing.
But, darling...
Shut up your mouth, Lady Alice. Now, you chaps got only one chance to get into country.
How's that, Sir Thomas?
Oh, well, it's a disguise.
Disguise?
Certainly. Step this way.
And behind the screen, Boris quickly disguised our heroes. Oddly enough, when he was finished, they looked remarkably like an undisguised Boris and Natasha.
There. A bit of all right. What?
This mustache tickles.
Oh, don't worry. It won't tickle long.
And Boris led our heroes to the gangplank.
Well, cheerio and people, chappies, and good luck. You'll need it.
Goodbye, Sir Thomas.
Gee, he's a good old millionaire yachtsman.
Look, Fedor, is them? Let's see. Badenov is short. Check. Mustache. Check. Dark glasses. Check. Travels with beautiful lady spy. Check.
Oh, boy, she's knockout. Dig those crazy earrings.
Okay, grab them.
Uh-oh, Rocky. Something must have gone wrong.
Cheer up, Bullwinkle. Maybe they're taking us to meet the mayor.
I don't think that's the key to the city he's holding.
Don't miss our next exciting episode, Axe Me Another, or Heads You Lose.
And now...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto!
Wrong hat.
I take a 7.5.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
This is the story of Dick Whittington, who lived a long, long time ago in a country called England. Dick was very, very poor. He lived in the village of Poppin full of Squares, and the townspeople had two pastimes, laughing at Dick and singing of London.
Oh, London town is made of gold, made of gold, made of gold. London town is made of gold, my fair lady.
The townspeople chanted this ditty constantly, day in and day out. Taking everything into consideration, they were quite foolish people. So one day, Dick, feeling quite cheeky, said,
"You are quite foolish people,"
and left for London town to tip loose a few cobblestones of gold so that he might have the last laugh on the people of Poppin full of Squares.
What are you doing?
I am loosening a cobblestone of gold.
Cobblestones of gold?
This is London, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then this is a cobblestone of gold.
Well, if this is London town, as you say, then most certainly that is a cobblestone of gold. However, if it does happen to be an ordinary cobblestone, here is my card.
Dick rushed off with the cobblestones he had pried loose, but found that he could purchase neither food nor drink with them.
Perhaps now I can be of assistance. My card.
When I start taking advice from a cat, I knew they were rocks anyway.
Here now! Vandals, robbers! Thank you, young man. It's getting so you can't walk down the street at night anymore. But come along. You must have dinner with me.
In the course of the evening, Dick was offered a job in Mr. Fitzwarren's household. It didn't pay much, but it was better than shipping up rocks. So Dick took the job of errand boy.
Hello, my name is Miss Alice.
Oh, Dick decided that he'd be very happy in Mr. Fitzwarren's household, and he would too, except for one thing. Mr. Fitzwarren was sailing for another kingdom on an extremely important mission. Everyone in the household was giving Mr. Fitzwarren a going-away gift. Alas, poor Dick, he had nothing to give him, and he wanted to make a good impression on Miss Alice.
Well, show me the gift, cat.
You're looking at it. Mainly me.
So a good impression was made on both Mr. Fitzwarren and Miss Alice. The Queen of the kingdom to which Mr. Fitzwarren was hurrying had named their kingdom London too, and upon finding out that there already was a London, the Queen became very unhappy. Upon seeing the Queen unhappy, the Prime Minister became unhappy, and then the Parliament. And when the Parliament becomes very unhappy, everybody becomes very unhappy, and eventually everybody looked like the unhappy Queen, even the King. To solve this crisis was Mr. Fitzwarren's mission, which became even more of a crisis when he found his face changing too. The Queen was fit to be tied.
It's all your fault. If you hadn't named that city of yours London, this never would have happened. Now we can't call our kingdom our own or our faces.
Not so fast. All is not lost. My card.
But I don't want a face. I have a face.
But just look at this face.
It's a beautiful face, but it's not my face.
That face is a happy face. Your face is a sad face. You're unhappy because you cannot name your kingdom London. When you are happy, the happy face will be yours.
But what can I do? I so love the name London.
And you shall have the name Nodnole, which is London spelt backwards.
And so the name was changed to Nodnole, and the Nodnolians regained their happy faces, and the Queen became the most beautiful woman in the kingdom.
We are indebted to you and your cat. 4 ships filled with gold are yours for helping us.
So Mr. Fitzwarren and the cat said goodbye to the Nodnolians and returned to London town and gave Dick the money.
Right on my foot!
For Mr. Fitzwarren knew that the money would be in the family anyway, for the next day Dick married Miss Alice and called her Miss Alice from that day forward, and she called him Mr. Whittington, which all their friends found a little stuffy, but with all that money, who cared? The following spring, Dick became Lord Mayor of London, and so had the last laugh on the village of Poppin full of Squares. In the village of Poppin full of Squares, the people never sang their song of London town.
Well, Governor, you'd hardly expect us to sing London town is full of rocks.
And never again did they laugh at Dick Whittington or anything else for that matter. But the story does have a happy ending, though, for the next year, ice cream was invented, and everyone lived happily ever after.
give you an insight on his outlook, Mr. Know-It-All.
Hello, low IQers. Today's discussion concerns how to tame lions and pick up a little scratch on the side of your head. In order to tame a lion, one needs 4 items: a whip, a gun, a chair, and a tame lion, like Teddy here. Got up on the wrong side of the cage, didn't we? First, we proceed to test the whip. This is done by snuffing out a candle that sits on the head of a small flying squirrel.
You sure you know what you're doing, Mr. Know-It-All?
Haven't missed yet. We are now prepared to face the lion. Are you ready, Teddy? Now for my next subject, how to run the 4-minute mile in 30 seconds with whip and chair.
Wait a minute. Aren't you going to show us how to tame a lion?
Not with Teddy being as ready as he is.
Oh, come on.
Very well. I shall tame him with hypnotism. Teddy, look into my eyes. Now I am the master. You are the slave. You are in my power. Now I shall demonstrate the most dangerous feat of all, putting my head into Teddy's mouth. Teddy!
That's wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All.
Hello again, Peabody here.
And I'm Sherman, Mr. Peabody's boy.
Today, Sherman and I will travel back to the days when the red man roamed the West. Set the way back for the year 1875, Sherman.
And the place?
The Black Hills of South Dakota, where we'll join forces with the 7th Cavalry under the command of General George Armstrong Custer. As usual, Sherman and I made an instantaneous transition. We arrived just as Custer completed the interrogation of a sentry.
Now, just what makes you think you saw an Indian?
This arrow on my shoulder, sir. It weren't there when I went on duty.
Oh, is that an arrow? I thought it was a tie pin.
It's an arrow, sir, same as all the other sentries has got.
You mean they've all been hit in the shoulder?
All except Curly. He ain't Curly no more.
This calls for immediate action. Assemble the men. Oh, and do something about that arrow, son. Makes your uniform look sloppy.
Seconds later, the entire command stood at attention before their general.
Men, there's an ugly rumor going around there's Indians in the neighborhood. Now, we all know what's got to be done. We got to go out and track them down.
But, sir, we all have weekend leave so we can see the Army-Navy game.
Well, all right. I'll go out and look for the Indians.
Pardon me, General, but Mr. Peabody and I could go with you.
Know anything about Indians, son?
Only that they're in the American League.
That's what I like, a sense of humor. All right, we'll leave at dawn.
It is dawn, sir.
So it is. All right, we'll leave now. American League.
4 hours later, our 3-man patrol halted the search and surveyed the barren territory.
Still no signs of Indians, General.
Yeah, but they're tricky, son. Never know where they are. Good thing you boys is out with me, otherwise you might walk right into a trap.
You mean like this one?
Must have made a wrong turn somewhere.
What white man want in Indian village?
Well, it's a little cold over at the fort, and we thought, Chiefy, we might borrow some blankets.
Yellow hair got 'em poor sense of humor.
I think what General Custer is trying to say is that the United States government would appreciate it if you and your tribe would return to the reservation.
Red man cancel reservation. Go on warpath.
Well, if that's the case, then I'm putting the whole bunch of you under arrest. How many of you are there?
Got 'em 5,000 warriors.
Well, I could take some of you in now and come back for the rest of you later in the week. How'll that be?
You my prisoners. We attack 'em Kansas City in morning, then come back and kill you.
Do you think he means it, Mr. Peabody?
I'm sure he's in dead earnest, Sherman. However, don't give up hope. Chief, I suppose you'll have your customary feast before going into battle.
Oh, red man never make 'em war on empty stomach. Sitting Bull said that.
Good. Then I'll have the pleasure of cooking for you.
Say there, you got 'em way with skillet?
You mean you haven't heard of Peabody's prolific pastries? After getting the chief's approval, I sent General Custer and Sherman to pick every wild berry they could find.
50 baskets, Mr. Peabody. Is that enough?
It will do nicely, Sherman. I then proceeded to whip up a huge amount of pie crust batter. 1 hour later, I was the proud parent of 1,293 wild berry pies.
Pies look heap good. Injun, eat 'em now.
By all means, Chief. Eat 'em to your heart's content.
Say, look, Peabody, I like to eat as much as the next man. But don't you think we ought to fight these fellers instead of feeding them?
I am fighting them, General. By morning, these Indians will be in no condition to go on the warpath. You see, wild berries cooked at a certain temperature produce a specific effect when eaten.
Makes you sick?
Sleepy, General. Hopelessly and irretrievably sleepy. Sure enough, no sooner were the pies consumed than the entire village was rendered hors de combat. The next day, the 7th Cavalry took the sleepy tribe in tow and escorted them back to their reservation.
Well, I'll be seeing you boys. Heard there's a rumor there's 3 or 4 Injuns running around the Little Bighorn. Think I'll run over and check it out.
Little Bighorn? Wasn't that the site of Custer's last stand?
Definitely not, Sherman. Custer's last stand is right over there. By the way, do you prefer mustard or catsup on your hot dogs?
Well, the good citizens of Pottsylvania are extending Rocky and Bullwinkle a real Pottsylvanian welcome. For Boris and Natasha disguised our heroes as, guess who? Boris and Natasha. Then, under orders from Central Control, the boys have been arrested and hustled toward a sinister platform.
Hop.
But you don't understand. We're friendly.
We're not. Hop.
Come on, Bullwinkle.
Where are we going?
You heard the man. Up!
Meanwhile, the real Boris and Natasha had escaped from the ship and made their way through the city to the underground headquarters of Central Control.
They fixed up the place since I was here last. You, fearless leader, where are you?
Right behind you, Badino.
11, 12, 13 steps. Rocky, that's liable to bring bad luck if we're not careful.
Now hear this. You, Boris and Natasha, are hereby condemned.
Boris?
Natasha?
Oh, forevermore. Oh, that's a good one.
What is?
You've mistaken us for somebody else.
Sure, we're in disguise.
Disguise?
Yup. See, this is just a wig I got that comes right. Uh-oh, my wig is stuck, Rock.
My mustache, too.
Sure enough, Boris had fastened their disguises on with permanent glue.
Proceed with the proceedings.
Meanwhile, at Central Control...
Well, speak up, Badinov. Don't let the boys make you nervous.
Who's nervous? You're making terrible mistakes.
Nonsense. We made only one mistake here in 20 years.
What was that?
We hired you.
What did I do?
Nothing. That is the trouble. Did you bring back rocket formula?
No, but...
Mooseberry bush?
No, but...
Mooseberries?
No, but...
Moose?
No, but...
Go ahead, boys.
Wait, I mean, yes.
Yes, what?
Yes, sir?
I mean, what did you bring back?
Moose. I brought back Moose.
Where is he?
Still on deck?
Turn on viewer, Anastas.
See? There he is now.
You fool! He is about to be executed.
No, wait just a minute, fellas. Let's not lose our heads.
Don't worry, sweetheart. Only one of you loses head. Your little friend Boris, we push off cliff.
Oh, that's better.
We are always polite. Ladies first.
But at that instant, Rocky launched himself off the cliff and down into space.
Catch him! He's ruining the execution.
No, I can fly!
Oop!
Attaboy, Rocky!
Here he comes again, Doc.
Tell me, Fedor, it says anything about Badinov can fly?
Not a word.
Could be we made a mistake?
Could be, but let's don't hang around to find out.
Well, looks like execution is off. We got Moose. Now we put him to work. For us, old buddy.
You mean I'm not out of job?
Of course not, dear boy. Was all mistake.
You mean I get same old salary?
Of course. 50 grickles a month and all you can steal.
Oh, boy.
Plus fringe benefits.
Fringe benefit?
Yes. We don't shoot you.
Back on the dock, a suspicious crowd watched as Bullwinkle and Rocky tried to get their disguises off.
How you doing, Rocky?
Gee, I thought it'd be years yet before I started shaving.
Well, I guess you really are tourists. Howdy, welcome to Pennsylvania and come along.
Thanks, and where are we going?
Where else? To jail.
Jail?
Jail?
Jail? This is a Pennsylvanian howdy?